So one of my main frustrations when it comes to the media, as I've explained to you guys in the past, is that right-wing media is right-wing media. There's no doubt about it where they stand. You have Fox News, which is just Trump propaganda all day, Republican propaganda all day. You have One America News and Newsmax. They're the exact same thing, except potentially even more extreme. You even have like Daily Wire outlets like that online. Same shit. They're just Republican Party propagandists, Trump propagandists. It screams out of every single thing that they say and do. Now, having said that, the population, like right-wing voters, they don't really realize that this is just propaganda. They think, oh, we're getting the truth from these outlets. But that's right-wing media. Now, the problem is there is no equivalent on the left in this war. So when you talk about what are called like liberal outlets, you have CNN, you have MSNBC, you have the nightly news on CBS and ABC and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, they are just not liberal outlets. These are, I would call them, centrist establishment type outlets. That's what they are. And they really, to the extent they have a bias, they have a both sides bias. They try to make it like, everything's neutral, everything's 50-50. If I criticize a Republican, I got to criticize a Democrat. And so the game is rigged. The media game is rigged because there's very few out there actually representing, forget a left-wing perspective, even just a liberal perspective. And so this is just a perfect example of it right here. Chuck Todd, he, of course, was a big name in mainstream media. Now he's the host of the Chuck Todd Cast. Jesus. Oh, make it stop. Well, anyway, so listen to this. Here's what he says. This is what he says on Twitter. Ready? The tragedy in Texas could have been avoided if both sides stopped playing politics and better prepared our communities for extreme weather disasters. I examine how the political discourse has become a virus. Link to the full breakdown in the bio. And here's just a little snippet of what he says. Ready?
The devastating tragedy in central Texas. It's awful. It's a stark reminder that we are simply not ready as a country for this era of extreme weather that we're now living in. And one of the reasons we're not ready, it's not science, it's not technology, it is politics. We've already seen the political spin starting to fly. On the right, you've got folks trying to blame the Biden administration's FEMA leadership. That's not new. Every administration in its first year tries to blame problems on a past administration when a disaster strikes. Sadly, that is politics 101. But here's the thing. It's not just the right doing it. On the left, there's been an equally knee-jerk reaction, a rush to blame recent budget cuts at the National Weather Service. Now, let me be clear. Those cuts are real and they are dangerous. But in this case, there's no evidence that those cuts at the moment played any role in this tragedy that unfolded in Texas.
Chuck Todd, I have a serious question for you. Are you stupid? Have you taken an IQ test? And if so, how low was the number? I mean, I cannot believe you recorded this, said those words, and then posted it. And then literally in your tweet said both sides, the tragedy in Texas could have been avoided if both sides stopped playing politics. Chuck, I hope you understand this point. Literally everything is political. There's not a single thing that isn't political. There's no such thing as something being non-political. Everything is political. Everything is political. To say that we don't even know if the budget cuts affected. What are you talking about? 600 people were fired. NOAA, huge budget cuts. The NWS, National Weather Service, huge budget cuts. Weather balloons were reduced massively. As a direct result of that, our forecast immediately got way shittier. When you have fewer weather balloons, you get worse forecasts. When you have fewer people working at NOAA and the NWS, you have fewer people to put out to sound the alarm, to put out the warning, to coordinate properly, right? There is no leap of logic. You don't need to connect any dots. It's all right there. And yes, what happened was the amount of rain that came into central Texas was double what was being forecasted. Over 10 inches of rain fell in such a short period of time, and river flooded and destroyed everything in sight and killed probably over 200 people when all is said and done. Chuck, that is squarely on the Republicans. That's on Trump. That's on Elon. That's on the Republicans. By the way, Trump is already out there saying we should abolish FEMA and working to abolish FEMA, trying to make it so that we're not going to warn you when a weather emergency happens, and then when your life is destroyed, the federal government's also not going to help you. Go fuck yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. In every imaginable way, this is solely and squarely on Republicans. This had literally nothing at all to do with any Democrat in the entire country. If the media was doing its job, if Chuck Todd was doing his job as a media figure, what he would do is he would come out and lay out the facts like I just did, and then he would say, we have to investigate and arrest Elon Musk and Donald Trump. If you care, fuck neutrality. Neutrality is always calling it 50-50. If you cared about objectivity, you'd be saying this one's 100-0 and these people should be locked up, because if Kamala Harris was president, these people wouldn't have died. That's the truth. If Kamala Harris was president, 600 people wouldn't have been fired. There would have been no NOAA cuts, no NWS cuts. There would have been no reduction in weather balloons. The forecast would be just as good as ever, and everybody would be fine. People would have been able to evacuate, no issues whatsoever. But no, Trump's in power. He let Elon, the world's richest billionaire, robber baron, run rampant through our government, loot the treasury, steal everybody's data, destroy whatever programs he wanted to destroy. And now he has your ass running cover. And this is what people need to understand. Having a both sides bias, having a false equivalence bias, a neutrality bias, functionally, you're just helping the right. Because here we have a scenario where it's 100-0, Republicans are 100% to blame, Democrats are 0% to blame, and now you're calling it 50-50. That is unfair to the Democrats. And that is bending over backwards to give Republicans credit. Say, oh, it's not all on them. It fucking is all on them. It is. I mean, this guy, it's because of people like Chuck Todd that if you go up to a random person on the street and you ask them, hey, list me someone like the Elon budget cuts, they can't tell you. Most people can't tell you. They don't know that this guy cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels and nuclear safety officials and FEMA and the Department of Education, and he fired 83,000 veterans, and he cut half the Social Security offices, and he fired 250,000 public workers, and they're not even doing routine food safety inspections anymore. They don't know about they got rid of the air traffic controllers, and they cracked down on scientific research, and maybe the one thing they could say is the USAID cuts, which have killed hundreds of thousands of people and will be millions in due time, because we stopped sending malaria medication and HIV medication and AIDS medication. But if the media doesn't educate people, they can't make educated decisions. And here's Chuck Todd, where his job is professional obfuscator, professional deflector, and liar. The both sides bullshit has to die. We have to move past this. I don't care. People like Chuck Todd are deathly afraid that the right is going to scream at them and say they're biased. But here's the thing, Chuck. Even with you just doing the both sides shit, they're going to scream at you and say say you're biased. They're going to say the fact that you blamed Republicans at all on anything, even 50% of the shit, goes way too far. That's what they're going to say. So if they're going to scream at you anyway, why not just tell the whole truth and stop playing hide the fucking ball? I would love to hear Chuck Todd tell me how in any way this is Democrats' fault. In any way. He literally said, oh, there's no evidence that this is tied to the budget cuts. Evidence? They did the firings. They cut the number of weather balloons. They slashed NOAA and the NWS. And we didn't get an accurate forecast. And the word didn't get out in time. And people died as a result of that. What do you mean evidence? Do we need to find a dead child with a note in their pocket saying, blame Donald Trump for my death? Blame Elon Musk for my death? What the fuck are you babbling about, son? There's a reason why my old nickname for Chuck Todd is human oatmeal. Because he's the equivalent of human oatmeal. He's boring. He adds nothing of substance. He's basically useless, I would say. He's a useless guy, except in this instance, he's worse than useless. This is actively covering for the right. That's what this is. He doesn't realize it. He's not smart enough to realize it, but that's what you're doing. And this is, he is the epitome. He's the quintessential example of what mainstream media brain rot is. This is mainstream media brain rot. Mainstream media brain rot is, I'm going to call it 50-50 no matter what. I'm going to make sure I got to be fair. And the way to be fair is to say, well, there's some blame here and some blame there. Totally disregarding the fact that the blame is nowhere near even. And on this one, it is literally 100% on one side. I am so done with these guys, man. But look, that's why, on a serious note, that's why it's important that you guys got to support shows like this, other shows that do what we do, because it is, we are fighting an uphill battle to the max, dog, to the max. Because the right-wingers, they have their mainstream media networks, and they have their so-called independent media networks, their online networks, and they're all singing the same song, right? Harping away on the same themes. And then for the left, it's just some of us out here in the online world, and of course, we don't have the same sort of money, power, clout, voice that they do. And like I said, the so-called liberal networks are both sides frauds, and you see it here. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.